installation of the left, the right, and the absurd. Tonight we have an interesting group of topics for you. We only have two. We're going to be going a little more in depth about veganism. To anyone who's watching currently, if you click that link on the YouTube video is showing for the Q&A, you can ask any of your questions in there, and I will make sure to answer them. On top of that, we are going to be going into the discussion of feminism, which we should have a lot of interesting ideas with that topic. I think we've got some varying opinions here.
Should be a good topic, yeah.
Um,
So, Cole, you want to just jump into what you're going to say about feminism? Because I'm sure someone pissed you off about this, and you want to talk about it.
you mean veganism?
Yeah.
You said feminism, you dipshit.
That's veganism.
It's okay, Patrick special.
Thanks, guys.
So yeah,
Well, hey, hang on, sorry. Like, we hold it for like 5 minutes. I want to add my 2 cents about fucking the drug war and alcohol use real quick. 'Cause I missed
That's
last
fine.
week.
last week's episode, Eric wasn't here, so we're gonna go ahead and let him add his 2 cents to the whole drug topic.
So I'm like basically the resident alcoholic of the group, as a couple of people mentioned last week. So Patrick had brought up he had talked about alcohol like as like for use in a social situation, or like smoking cigars or whatever, with like social versus being alone or whatever. And so like I've had a different experience. I drank by myself quite a bit, and I didn't use it. I didn't use alcohol like as a social lubricant or anything, or like to dumb myself down to like fit in. Like Cole was talking about, I used it because I was fucking depressed, and I was like using that as a way to cope with it, which is not a good idea to do. I was like borderline alcoholic, so that's not like, I don't know. That was my experience with it, and it's just not been a good thing though. But I'm like a month sober now as of today, so.
10 out of 10 would not advise.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Yeah, it was bad shit. Like, if you're fucking dealing with, like, issues or whatever, like, because it was my first year of college, and, like, I was not having a good time. It was shit. So, like, I was drinking a lot to, like, try to deal with that. And that's just, like, a recipe for disaster. Like, my grades kind of sucked. And like,
Did you go cold turkey?
Yeah, I actually did. I haven't had any since, like, Halloween, I don't think.
I think that's about the best way to do it. As a former cigarette smoker, cold turkey honestly is the best way to do it. You just cut it out.
Yeah, I mean, like, I couldn't drink in social situations. Like, I can't do it anymore because I get too fucking out of hand. And this is a story I was talking about before on the pre-show. So one time I went out with my friends. Like, we went to this bar. It's in Lawrence, like, town away from where I go to school, and so we were there, and like it's this, they let anybody in. I was like 19, so we were there for like 45 minutes, and like I got fucking just absolutely shit faced, and like that short amount of time, it was dollar night, like we were getting fucked up, and so I went to the bathroom to go throw up, so I'm like running in there because I'm like about to spew chunks everywhere, burst into this stall and throw up all over this dude that's taking a shit, and I'm like, oh fuck, okay, like, and mind you, I'm fucking wasted as shit, so like my first instinct is like, this dude's gonna fucking hit me, oh my god, no, I fucked up, so what do? Drunk me decides it's a good idea to knock this motherfucker out. So I hit this dude, like, he's just out. Like, he's covered in vomit and shit, and now he's, like, got a fat lip because I fucking hit him. I run out, and I find my friends. I'm like, yo, we gotta fucking go. They're like, what do you mean we gotta go? Like, we just got here 45 minutes ago. What are you talking? And I was like, no, you don't understand. We're leaving right fucking now. So, like, we left, and I don't drink in social situations anymore.
Oh, Eric. Now that kind of sounds like a movie, to be honest.
Swear to God, it happened.
I'm gonna make a short film based around that.
We should all make a short film about that.
So that's why you don't do it,
Okay.
kids.
I completely understand that. I was at a concert once, and we were drinking the whole time driving to the concert. And I mean, most of you know I'm a pretty scrawny fucking dude. But we're sitting up at the front row of this concert, and this guy keeps bumping into me, and my first instinct is just, I want to knock the fuck out of you.
Yeah. I mean,
And-
I'm not like a violent guy whenever I drink, but like that was just a weird fucking drunk. It was so strange.
Yeah, I know. I gave the guy the death glare, and him and his group of like 5 bros just like left after that. Because I was just pissed off, so,
Yeah.
I mean... But
Eric,
there was
anything on the
also,
drug
like,
war?
some...
You know, war on drugs.
Oh yeah, fuck the war on drugs. Like that shit's totally retarded. Like I mean, you guys hit it pretty well, I think. Like obviously all drugs I think should be legalized. And just prohibition like just creates a massive demand for it, and then it makes people stupid fucking rich because they can make a lot of money because they're selling risk premiums basically. You're not like whenever you sell drugs and they're illegal and you're like facing like life in prison for certain amounts that you're moving, like you're just selling risk premiums. Like you're just selling. Like, I mean, that's basically what you're selling. Like, you're selling the drugs, too, but, like, you're getting paid because of the risk that's involved, like, transporting those drugs and selling them.
That's why people sell $20 Gs.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, yeah, that's basically my take on it. Fuck the drug war. Like, it's stupid, so.
Well, and I mean, most of us here, besides Patrick, do drugs, so...
Yeah, I mean, I've smoked a fair amount of pot. Like, I just don't anymore because I don't have the money, and I don't, frankly, have the time. Like, I'm just fucking busy.
Come to California, it's cheap here.
Yeah, I believe that.
That's why I stick now I stick strictly to crystal meth.
Yeah, same. Like, funny story though. Like the high school where I'm going, to college, the high school in this town like has a major meth problem. Like over half the kids are doing meth.
Jesus. Where are you going to school?
K-State.
Okay. No.
Well, that's the thing. You'll look at most schools and you'll see some form of major drug problem. I went to a really fucking rich high school, and there was an extremely high heroin problem.
Yeah, like my high school was pretty rich, but like it wasn't any weird drugs. It was just like I think the only thing that people did was coke. Like that was it.
Ours was heroin and ecstasy.
Yeah.
Ours was prescription drugs.
You must have gone to a pretty hoity-toity school then.
I mean, that's what it was, and I mean, I wasn't complaining about it because like the stuff was like most of it was over the counter, so we didn't really have to worry about it. But like that was what our school was known for, which I mean has its downsides and its upsides.
Prescription drugs are pretty fucked up. I mean, I used to sell Adderall when I had a prescription for it.
Sam. So, veganism now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna.
So recently, all of us are, for the most part, are either formerly from or on this app, and I just deleted it tonight because I was just so fucking done. As I've made a vegan profile posting about veganism because that's an important thing to me. And just listening to some of the retarded arguments that I hear on a fucking daily basis has just gotten absurd. And the biggest issue is someone starts some sort of argument, and it goes on for 3 fucking days, and the basis of it is, well, no, you're a vegan using vegan sources, so you're automatically biased.
I fucking hate that shit.
Isn't everyone just automatically biased when it comes to a thing like that? Like, I'm sure we could all find sources that back up our opinion. So, like, just to make that argument is pretty ridiculous, to be completely honest.
But the thing is, most of the people that use this argument are using it when I use sources like the World Health Organization, which still defended meat after they found a link between processed meat and cancer. Well,
Yeah.
the World Health Organization actually went on to say that there are added health benefits of consuming meat products. They went on to name iron. The main products is heme iron. For those that don't know, heme iron literally feeds cancer cells.
And what's the other thing that you can get from meat? Like, it starts with an M. It also feeds cancer cells. I can't remember the name of it.
Wait, it starts with an N?
M. Can't remember the name of it.
I was thinking of things like hot dogs, which contain nitrosamine.
Yeah. It starts
with nitrosamines. While most carcinogens found in meat aren't extremely potent, the level of nitrosamines found in things like hot dogs and things like that have casings is equivalent to 5 times of that of a cigarette.
yeah, and
Just for those that don't understand, I'm not sure if I clarified this in the last episode.
Did he cut out for you guys too?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it happens. All right, we just missed all that call. You cut out.
The classification process for carcinogenic ingredients in meat, or carcinogens in products like cigarettes, meat, and other asbestos and stuff like that. The level 1 classification isn't a statement of the level of carcinogens in it. It's the level of understanding of the existence of carcinogens in that product. So processed meats classification is the class 1 with things like asbestos, cigarettes, and things like that. It's not saying that meat is on the same carcinogenic level as asbestos and cigarettes. It's saying that the known facts that processed meat contains these carcinogens. It's saying that it's known that they contain carcinogens. Just like the 2A classification of red meat is basically saying there's not enough data, but from the findings, from what they have seen, there's enough belief that there's anything lower than 2A is basic. Lower would basically be we don't know. But a 2A classification, there isn't enough information currently. The common consensus is that there's at least some level of carcinogens in this substance.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. And this, I guess, it does pertain to veganism, but for people that can't, whether it's financially or you don't have the opportunity to actually become vegans right now, what is your advice?
Do what you can. I mean, I can understand people that the people that are for example, 15 years old and live with their parents still. They're not going to have a job. They're not going to be able to buy their own food. And for the most case, most parents aren't going to be as accepting about things like this. So do what you can and eat a proper diet.
All right. How about this, Cole? Do you think there's we as a society look down upon not eating meat?
Well, yeah, we've instilled this idea that it's a societal norm. It's the reason that people call vegans fags. The reason for it is because we've instilled this societal norm that eating animal flesh and killing animals and stuff like that is what makes you manly. Especially seeing the fact that most people nowadays would be what's called a sedentary hunter. We don't kill our own shit. We pay someone else to do it for us. And the primary reason is because most people can't actually handle doing it themselves.
Yeah.
Or they don't have the ability. I think to say that all people can't do it is a little dishonest just because a lot of people don't have the opportunity to.
I'm not saying all, I'm saying most. And
for me, I hunt, right? So I've hunted before, and it's a good time. I've shot a deer, I've cleaned it, I've cooked it, I've made it into delicious food. But that's not something I don't think a lot of people do.
But they all have the opportunity to contact a local butcher. In California, I lived 20 minutes away from a Foster Farms plant. Most people will live within at least some distance of some form of slaughterhouse. And every single person has the opportunity to contact these local slaughterhouses and say, for research purposes, for a school writing, for something like that, I want to take a trip through your slaughterhouse or through your butcher house or something you're treating, killed, etc. So to say that they don't have the opportunity, I feel is disingenuous, because every single person has some sort of opportunity to either go hunting, to go to the local butcher shop and see how they slaughter the animals, go to a local farm, go to a local slaughterhouse, any of those things.
And would that justify it in your eyes, or would that just be something that you would say, how you know what happened?
What was that?
Would that justify it in your eyes?
I feel if you can face what you eat and you can do it yourself, go ahead and eat it. The way I see it, I don't push it on people. The way I see it, you make a conscious decision. The only thing I want from people is to accept that their conscious decision is detrimental to their own health and stop denying the fact that it is. I don't care. I'm not strictly an ethical vegan. I went towards it for health purposes in the beginning. Most that go vegan go for ethical reasons. While I support the ethical reasons and the ending of exploitation of animals and the slaughter of animals, I don't think that that is for everyone. And I also see that not everyone is going to agree with that. But I also know that there's scientific reasoning backing the health effects of meat consumption and the benefits of a vegan diet. And
real
we
quick,
can,
is someone watching this just because I don't have someone here as a timer?
I'm not, but like we started close to 8:30, so whenever it's 9:30, I'll let you know.
Yeah, it was like 35 we started, so.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
Yeah.
So, Cole, I got a question from a viewer about veganism. So he says, animals are grown like vegetables in cages and tight compartments, even though they're sentient beings. The way we humans strive for freedom, is it ethical to raise and consume animals in this way? Isn't this what we despise the state for doing? What sort of example are we setting?
Hold on, can you repeat that? My computer froze.
Okay, so the whole thing?
Yeah.
Alright, he said, animals are grown like vegetables in cages and tight compartments, even though they're sentient beings. The way we humans strive for freedom, is it ethical to raise and consume animals this way? Isn't this what we despise the state for doing? What sort of example are we setting?
I completely agree. To say something that's probably going to be extremely hated by any of the leftists watching, if you are a leftist and for the ending of hierarchy and exploitation, if you're not a vegan, I feel you are completely logically inconsistent and have no way to defend your standpoint.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because if you were truly against hierarchy and exploitation, you would end the exploitation of animals and end the hierarchy of humans over other sentient creatures.
Cole, do you believe in like speciesism?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Wait, what if you don't hold people over animals? In the sense that, like, I mean, to say something fucked up, like, if you were allowed to, you would eat human meat as well. Like, what would you?
Well,
I don't know what I'm saying here.
I can completely understand that, and that is a question I commonly ask people who intend to defend the stance of being vegan. If there is such thing as ethical slaughter, why is it wrong for me to put a bullet in the back of the head of some person and then cook them?
Yeah.
Why is that any less humane than doing it to a cow or a dog or a cat?
This is another kind of messed up example, but I never really understood why bestiality is frowned upon, but eating animals isn't. Like, hey,
Because
don't have
Leviticus,
sex with
basically.
that cow
Because
because I want to chop it up and eat it and slaughter. Wait, what?
difference between eating something and putting your dick in.
Yeah, of course, but
I
like,
would
Okay,
hope you would
well,
understand
then,
that. Like, Jesus.
Patrick, answer me this question. Why is it okay to drink milk from a cow, but why is it wrong to breastfeed in public?
It's just societal. It's like societal, like expectations and like norms. It's like cultural norms. I didn't make them. That's just what it is.
also, it's also kind of odd to me that, as far as I know, humans are the only animals that drink other animals' milk.
They are.
Yeah.
And the most insane thing is milk is literally a product. The intention of milk for cattle and calves, to raise calves, the intention of milk is to take this small newborn baby calf and turn it into a 400-pound creature in the
and
amount
for,
of time possible.
yeah, for the dairy industry, they take female cows and they artificially inseminate them. They practically rape the cows.
Well, it's a necessity because they do not produce
Yeah, exactly.
milk unless they are. And it's insane that we do that for something that has no... For those that don't know, the thing that you were taught about milk making you a big, strong man is a crock of shit.
From what I've read, it actually decreases testosterone.
It not only decreases testosterone, the bleaches used to bleach milk, and I'm just going to clarify this here. None of you drink raw milk because A, it's illegal, and B, it's almost impossible to find. Unless you drink raw milk, the bleaches that are utilized in bleaching milk leach more calcium from your bones than milk can provide.
Yeah.
I guess, looking back on the thing I said earlier, I guess there is a difference in the way that it's more since one is like perceived as a sexual deviance, bestiality. So, perhaps looking back on that,
But it
my
would.
statement wasn't entirely correct, but you get the concept.
what is the reasoning behind bestiality being wrong? Is it not the fact that the animal can't consent and it's wrong?
Yeah.
That's what most people would say.
Is it not considered a form of rape?
Yeah, I would say it is.
Then why the fuck is it any more?
Because, the basis of this is consent, and they don't consent to being slaughtered, so.
Accept or slice a pig's throat or chop off a chicken's head. Why is that any more acceptable than sticking your dick in a fucking animal?
Because one is for procreation and one is for survival.
And here's the biggest thing: the double standard. Because we have things like donkey shows.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any of that.
And we're not sucking fucking horse's dick. The double standard that we have with bestiality is the fact that online, if you actually go out there and look these things up, you can find videos of women getting fucked by horses and donkeys and shit like fucking donkey shows, but a man sticks his dick in a panther in Florida and suddenly there's a fucking law against it.
Florida, man.
Fucking
Always
Florida. Florida has the sketchiest fucking people, man. Like, they have the weirdest fucking headlines. I see so much shit. It's like, Florida man, like, rapes an alligator and suddenly marries it. Like, it's fucking sketch.
I live in Florida, so I can confirm that a lot of weird shit happens here.
Wasn't there a recent article about a man who fucked an alligator to show his dominance over it?
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
So,
Welcome to the Left, the Right, the Absurd. We talk about veganism, alligator fucking. Hope you're having fun.
Don't forget bestiality in general. Like that's
yeah, but like I went vegan for a few reasons. I went vegan for ethical reasons, and I considered it more consistent with my anarchist beliefs. Because I was looking into green anarchism, and I saw a bunch of other things, and I started looking to the Animal Liberation Front, and things like that, and that just added on to it. And I was more, the health thing came later, I guess. But
I'm gonna link a few videos in this in the bio for this one.
Yeah.
I know I said I was gonna do it with the last one about veganism, but I have a few in mind that I'm gonna link for this. The primary one though is the one the few that I will link from Patrick Baboumian, who,
Yeah.
for those that don't know, Patrick Baboumian is a world record holding strongman. He holds a world record in the yoke walk and the trunk lift. His yoke walk record is 555 kilograms currently, and he's in the process of training to break that record for a 600 kilogram record, which for those that don't know is over 1,300 pounds. But Patrick Baboumian put out a video. He did an interview about how he went vegan for ethical reasons, and he said that when he went vegan, he expected a loss in his stats. When he continued to train for the strongman competitions, he actually found that his numbers went up when he went vegan.
Yeah, I've noticed that with like the fitness people, like usually when they turn vegan, they expect like their numbers to drop, but they actually go up and they have more energy and things like that. Like what's his name?
Well, that's the thing. It's not just about their muscle improvement. It's about rebound time. Most people, the fatigue that they feel, they noticed a drop in the length of time when they went vegan.
They had shorter recovery times, basically.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because, like, I lift and I've been thinking about going, like, I don't know, like, I've been kicking around the idea of, like, going vegan for that, but that was one of my main concerns was, like, your gains would go down and, like, you wouldn't have enough, like, nutrition to fucking make gains, but, like, I haven't looked that much into it, so I still need to do that.
You really need to learn about the muscle protein synthesis a lot, but consumption of protein, there are studies, and I'll try and find a link for this one. There was a study about beginning bodybuilders and their muscle protein synthesis, and it was shown that a beginning bodybuilder only needs 0.75 grams of protein per pound of body weight.
Yeah.
That was the median number that was mentioned most. The numbers actually ranged from 0.5 to like 0.85.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Cole, do you think once you started getting into veganism, you understood the human body a bit better? Because it sounds like you do.
Yeah, it's a lot of learning about human anatomy and biology as well to make sure that you're getting every single aspect of your meal with everything. Like, just yesterday I went to Target and bought a blender, regularly $30. I got it for like 11-something bucks. And that's so I can make smoothies in the morning so that I can get like 5 to 6 servings of fruit in like no time at all. And I get like the crack of dawn. So on top of getting breakfast in, I'm going to be getting a smoothie in that's going to be covering a bunch of different nutrients as well as covering more calories as well as getting me in more fruit and vegetables throughout the day. But there's a lot of different vegan lifters, strongmen, stuff like that. Jim Morris, I think, is an extremely important example to bring forth. He is in his 70s, I think getting close to his 80s at this point.
Yeah, he's like 70.
And people to this day still raise questions about his pictures being doctored due to his muscle definition at his age. But Barney Duplessis, who just recently went vegan. He was a competitor in Mr. Universe. I'm not 100% certain, but to my knowledge, he won Mr. Universe.
I think he did, yeah.
We also have former Mr. Natural Universe, because as a lot of us know, most bodybuilders are on steroids. And there's a difference between Mr. Natural Universe and Mr. Universe.
Right.
Billy Simmons was the winner of Mr. Natural Universe. He was a natural bodybuilder. Barney Duplessis, on the other hand, was a winner of Mr. Universe. I don't know his actual steroid usage, but he obviously at some point used some form of supplementation, be it steroids or other supplements like that improve muscle growth. As I mentioned, Patrick Baboumian is a world record-holding strongman who is fucking beast. Avi Liani is someone you wouldn't want to run into in a dark alley because he's like gigantic.
Yeah, he's like 6'3", right? He's fucking huge.
He's huge, and it's scary how huge he is. And that's the thing, his muscles aren't like that extreme huge factor where you look at them and think, wow, he probably can't touch his own head. They're large, but they seem natural because it's all based off bodybuilding. But what most people don't realize is while bodybuilding's great, or while weightlifting's great, unless you intend to go into something like being a bodybuilder that does shows or becoming a strongman, building muscle like that is honestly useless. Because most of the muscle that you build with weightlifting only has a specific range of motion.
Yeah.
It's why calisthenics and like it's why body weight training is more important than anything else, because body weight training builds usable muscle. When you go down and do a push-up, you actually can tell which muscles you're using, and it's using a full range of motion as opposed to something like I'm trying to think of the word, but Bruce Lee used to do them. Basically what it is attempting to move an immovable object. You use so much weight that you can't actually do it, but it puts so much strain on your muscles that it's still working them out.
Whoever fucking lifts like that's an idiot, just saying.
Well,
not,
that was
not the body weight, but like if you're using that much weight that you can't fucking do the exercise, you shouldn't be in the gym.
Well, no, what it is, it's using a specific style of, it's primarily machines and stuff like that, to where you're not actually trying to do like a full bench press or something like that. And it was a primary, at one point in time, it was an important part of Bruce Lee's workout. And for those that don't know, Bruce Lee's like physique was borderline inhuman. Like the amount of the things that he could do were insane, and like the wings that he could produce when he flexed his back muscles were completely insane.
All right, I believe we should start getting into feminism as of now.
Yeah, it's like 9:08, so we probably got another half hour.
So you guys you pro-feminism people want to take it first, and then we'll kind of respond and go back and forth.
Let me just say, does anyone else have any questions? Just before we move on.
I'm good.
Any questions from the viewers?
I don't think
I didn't see any. Okay.
All right, let's move on
So
to
feminism. Whenever we get into feminism, I think the most important thing we need to do first is like have a definition of what feminism actually is before we start. Because I think like we might get confused and play semantics, so if we can get a definition out, that'd be awesome.
All right. It depends on how you look at it, because you'll hear different things. I really don't use a dictionary definition of feminism. I use Warlock use more of an anarchist and socialist view on feminism as the rejection of patriarchal norms, along with this, that the state can have implement these things, carries out hierarchy and exploitation of women, and usually puts men into a position of power over women, albeit not all the time, that there are exceptions, but I would say overall that feminism is a movement against patriarchy to more of a liberation for women, men, and whatever other, I will say, whatever other gender you want to identify as. I would say it's more of a liberation movement against patriarchy, and the anarchist feminist analysis goes that capitalism and the state perpetuate patriarchal norms, and that it hurts everyone on a societal basis that the state perpetuates. So, and I would say that if you're the type of feminist that says, or the type of feminist that says, like fuck men and all this other type of things, and you want to put men below women, or you want to put trans people below actual women, I don't consider you a real feminist. I would say that you are, I guess that you're not a real feminist, but you're more of hurting the entire goals, and you're only have a narrow view of things.
Okay, so I'll try to like condense the definition. So would you say that this is a fair analysis, the definition? So like feminism is the attempt, it's like a liberation movement for women to erode the state-imposed and socially imposed norms that place women at a power disadvantage against men, and to make them equal.
Yeah, I would say that's a very because I don't like giving just a broad definition of feminism, because there's a lot of things that go into it, because I consider myself an intersectional feminist, because people, when it comes into privilege, people can be privileged because they're white, but they also may be disadvantaged of their class position, their sexuality, their race, and all that other things. So
I pretty much agree completely with what Adam said there.
Because I just want to say, because I see people say, like, when they try to attack the entire privilege thing, they usually show a picture of a white man, homeless white man on a bench, and saying, "Oh, look at all that white male privilege."
I think it's really stupid whenever people like fucking cherry pick singular examples. Like anybody that does that's just like intellectually dishonest. In my opinion.
But the thing with that is that that person would be disadvantaged on the level that they are homeless, they're unemployed, and that goes into their class position, that they would be the lower class. People like I would say, I don't know, some rich fuck CEO who's white, Christian, cisgendered male, he's straight, and again, he's very rich. He would be privileged in all those areas, and the entire concept of privilege and to check your privilege is that where privilege comes in is that your area of where you are has an effect on how you see the disadvantage, so you may not be able to easily identify with them as you could people in your position.
So I think that's fair enough, but it's like limited, because I feel like there's a lot of people that have a lot of money that are in like quote-unquote privileged positions, but they do a lot of good work, and like they help out disadvantaged. No, I know you're not saying it's like all-encompassing, but I'm just like saying this.
All right, Patrick is like itching to say something.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
I have a question for you guys that are pro-feminist. Is feminism anarchistic?
I would say yes, feminism is anarchistic, because the entire concept of anarchist feminism comes from Mikhail Bakunin. He wrote some stuff on patriarchy and how it plays in the state, and then it evolved into a more individualist things along the lines of Voltaire de Cleyre, and it also went into with Emma Goldman and the free love movement.
Wait, I mean, I don't know about inherently anarchistic.
I mean, it's not inherently, but I would say overall feminism has been a huge part of anarchist thought.
Definitely, yeah.
But is it anarchistic?
I wouldn't say it's you can't say socialism is inherently anarchistic or capitalism is inherently anarchistic. I could say that it is anarchistic, but not all the way.
I think there's there's variants of what is. There's the anarchist feminism, obviously is anarchistic, but liberal feminism, no.
There's also Marxist feminism and
So you
liberal
guys
feminism.
are kind of differentiating between feminism here. When I say feminism, I'm talking about the modern liberal feminism that is, taking over our universities right now and screaming that they want free shit from the government. That is not inherently anarchistic. Because the political message of feminism is they want free abortion, they want subsidized birth control, they want equal or greater representation in all spheres of the social order, whether it's political, academic, professional, regardless of merit. They want this economically incoherent gender pay cap taken away, which doesn't exist if you actually look and compare apples to apples. They want to get rid of legal due process if anyone accused of domestic violence, rape, or sexual assault, unless the accused is a female, in which case all these things should be legal as they've been from.
I'll go for, since you wanted to bring up domestic violence, I'll get to that first. This also plays into how patriarchy hurts men. When women hit men, usually the man is laughed off like, "Oh, you're a man, fucking suck it up," and that goes into that men are supposed to be big and strong, and that they're supposed to take these things, and that they're supposed to, display power over women. That they're not supposed to be weak and pussies and all this other type of things. And when it comes to rape, that goes into the same thing. That men are supposed to be stronger than women, and that they're not supposed to be sensitive, and they're not supposed to be put into this disadvantage when it comes to sex. And there's also,
but the modern feminist movement does not embody those things. When you say, feminists will say, "Oh, men should be able to have their feelings out on their sleeves, and they shouldn't feel bad for it." And then as soon as you bring something like your feelings to your sleeves, they're like, "Ha, male tears, you're crying."
I wouldn't say that. I would say the entire thing about that helps to say drinking male tears. I would say yes, it is a joke. I would say in a way it does hurt the movement as a whole. But I would say the reason that comes from is that it's just a joke among these people that the way I would say it's much as of a joke to the anti-feminists as people like to like, "Oh, look at this feminist, she's fat," and they're thinking like they show the picture of the really large woman who says, "This is what a feminist looks like," and I was like, "Oh, I'm not surprised." I would say it's just like those. It's really, when it comes to like the drinking male tears thing, I would say it's a joke. I don't think it should be said. But I don't think I don't think feminists genuinely believe that we should kill all men, or that drinking male tears.
I'm sure there are feminists that believe all men should die, and
then I would say that they aren't feminists because they.
But the problem is that modern feminism has been taken over by rampant misandry, and now feminism is geared towards an ever more rapid expansion of state aggression. It's not about equality anymore. It's about having state aggression against men to put them as a lower tier of society.
I think that's accurate. Like, for a modern feminism movement, I think most of it has become more about that and not about equality.
I don't agree with that because a lot people used to like to point out Tumblr feminism and things like this, but a lot of feminists that I've talked to that I associate myself with that who are even liberals, they want equality, and they want to address these issues in society that put both men, women, and trans people at disadvantages, and they want to address this. And it comes into, like, we're going to talk about how men are disadvantaged. It comes to toxic masculinity, and it comes to a bunch of other things that go with that.
I mean,
I wouldn't say I won't say that modern feminism is just about having the state give us free things.
I wouldn't say that's entirely accurate. I think that you're right whenever you say it's not all about giving people free shit. Like, I'm not saying a majority of them are like that way, but I mean, I know you said you talked to some that are for equality, and like I've talked to some that are just like batshit crazy and not for equality at all. So I mean, like, it's getting into anecdotal evidence, and that's
If
not
they're
really...
not the majority, they're definitely a very vocal minority, because you have the Anita Sarkeesians of the world that are just screaming about, you know, the gender pay gap, which has been debunked so many times. It's not even like I won't even give you an example of it.
Well, here's the thing. Most of what...
So feminists now complain that women aren't like 50% of STEM fields, right? And then complain that women aren't 50% of like high-level positions in STEM fields, right? Science, technology, engineering, and math, right? And anti-feminists like myself would respond by saying that women have IQs that are grouped more towards the center of the bell curve, while nearly all geniuses and retards are male, which is explained by like evolution and logic. But how do feminists explain this phenomenon? They complain that men wear shirts with beautiful women on them.
Okay, well, I want to address the STEM field thing. It's not that... It's more or less that women are discouraged from going into those fields during their youth, and that they shouldn't be discouraged from going into these fields, that they should be just as good as men going into these fields. That because I know somewhat anecdotal, but I've seen the studies that a lot of women in their youth want to go into science fields and engineering, but they're discouraged at the youth that, oh, that's not feminine. Why don't you do this and this and this? And that comes into a bunch of like patriarchy and I will say women can perpetuate patriarchy. It's not just men who do it. Women just as well can perpetuate it.
So call it matriarchy instead of calling it patriarchy. If women are perpetuating it, then it's no longer patriarchy.
Well, no, I don't think it matters who
Patrick,
does it.
Okay, Patrick, stop being a fucking idiot for a minute and listen to what I said. When women perpetuate patriarchy, it's not saying that, it's saying that women should be in these positions that, oh, we should serve the men, or like, oh, just stop complaining, you're not being feminine, you're being butch, and all these other things. That is perpetuating patriarchy. That's saying that men are better than the women, that they should just not I don't want to say learn their place, but should not try and achieve these goals. Matriarchy, on the other hand, is putting women above men, that they are the ones who... I
would argue is what modern feminism is becoming more and more.
I would disagree with that strongly, and I would say that the reason feminism in America is so needed is because I would say it's needed for not only LGBT, I would say it's also needed for men, because a lot of these things that men have issues with is not being properly addressed by the men's rights movement. They're saying... They're spouting a whole bunch of bullshit when it comes to things that, like Stephen Molyneux, he was talking about rape. I can't remember exactly what he said, and I'm trying to... But I don't think that the men's rights movement and things like that are properly addressing the issues of men, and they're just putting it on that they're trying to make feminism, like, into this terrible thing that they're trying to make men lesser than women, and that's not true at all.
Well, let me make
I have a question for Patrick.
Go ahead.
Now you've said that you believe feminism in modern modern day feminism is about in the United States, is about
because elsewhere, like in the Middle East and places, they definitely need it because it's
understandable.
Right.
But like you said, it's about having government give you free things, and it's particularly economic in nature. But then I've also heard you say things where it's a lot about political correctness. And when I think of political correctness, I don't necessarily think of government mandated things. I think of more, you're a social outcast if you don't follow these things.
So free speech zones on college campuses and like.
Okay, I'll be fucking straightforward. I don't see the fucking huge problem with political correctness. It's asking you not to say certain things, and it's not restricting your free speech. It's asking you to think before you speak. I don't see the huge problem with that. It's saying if somebody doesn't want to be called a faggot, don't call them a faggot. I mean, I'm saying I've seen gay men take the word faggot and they've used it for their own purposes. Like, yes, I'm a fag. What are you gonna do? And things like that. But if a gay man does not want to be called a faggot, don't call him a faggot. I agree.
That's
not restricting your free speech. And it's saying if somebody's saying something that they don't like, and they address it and they continue to say it, it comes to the point where it's just being a dick.
Yeah, but you see
I think a big point here is that a lot of people have taken the word free speech and warped it to think, oh, I can sit here and call this woman a cunt in public that I know nothing about, or I can call this gay person a faggot and have no ramifications. The thing about free speech, it's not that you get to say what you want and whatever you want. It's that you have the capability to say what you want, but you are not free from the ramifications of saying what you say.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that was like one of the most important things that you could have possibly said, because a lot of people take free speech to me, and it's like I just get to say whatever the fuck I want. I can say fire in a movie theater, like all that other shit.
Yeah,
Eric, you're a faggot. You're a faggot, Eric.
I am, and I say faggot. Like I call shit gay, and I say faggot all the time. But I don't call people faggots like just to be an asshole. Like I don't do that.
But
Exactly.
like, I never necessarily got a question like this got derailed here.
Yeah.
But like, is this Patrick? Is this economic in nature to you, or is this more cultural and social in nature?
I think that it's dangerous because as anarchists we all are, we would think that we would promote movements that want to decrease state power. And the fact of the matter is, modern feminism is not trying to do that. What modern feminism is trying to do is expand it at a rate that's increasing by the day. And that's something that I don't think as anarchists we can support on the grounds that the state needs to shrink before we can get rid of it.
But I don't think that feminists are. Well, I don't want to say it's a huge goal to increase state power, but there's a different. Like, I remember not too long ago, you were trying to say that it's not ideologically consistent for anarchists to vote if it furthers their goals. If an anarchist is to, an anarchist feminist is to utilize the state to ensure that someone has something. I don't see that as ideologically inconsistent.
I think here I'm gonna jump in. I think the problem like with that though is whenever we say like to vote to further your goals is we're voting for someone that is anti-state and anti-aggression. So like if we say we voted a libertarian or an anarchist into whatever fucking position and they in their term there they abolish that position. It's no more, it doesn't exist. They've done what we wanted to do and they've shrunk the size of the state. Whenever you have a feminist in there like trying to do the same thing, it's usually not resulting in a shrinkage of state power.
But the thing is, when anarchist feminism is not strictly focused on the state, it's also focused on social issues.
I think that's where the divide between us is.
Yeah.
Like,
I also want to bring this point here. The idea that any politician is actually going to shrink the state is completely absurd.
No, I think it's horseshit. Like, I don't think it'll fucking work ever.
Like, I get it was just meant to be an example, Eric, but that whole example of if we're voting some anarchist in, that's not gonna fucking happen.
No, I completely agree with you. I don't think
the example here, I honestly think is the idea of voting some feminist in versus voting Rand Paul in, which both situations aren't going to achieve what anarchists want.
I think this brings up like an interesting question.
People like Proud who change the state from within. Failure. There is no changing the system from within, especially in our system.
No, you're right.
It necessitates the majority rule, and even if the president were to get elected and say like, "Hey guys, let's abolish taxes and ban the Fed."
All right, I got an interesting thing here.
Let's
go for it.
Hold on, just 1 second. They're not going to get these things through Congress. They're not going to get these things through the Senate. They're not going to get these things through fucking anyone.
Right.
So the idea that these feminists are actually going to make some major change through their idea of, well, this is modern feminism, you can't do this, and this woman deserves to get paid for blah, blah, blah. Comparing that to Rand Paul saying, hey, I want to legalize pot, but fuck heroin, crack, cocaine, LSD, mushrooms, there's no fucking difference there. They're perpetuating the state.
No, that's a non sequitur because feminists are indoctrinating young people to think that the state is the solution to all of their problems. That is not.
That is not fucking
All right,
true at all.
All right,
No,
this brings back to what I was going to say.
You go ahead, Matt. You had a question.
What's your question?
Now, you guys are saying, that some, Patrick was saying that feminism is about increasing state power. Adam disagreed and said that it could also, decrease authority in different aspects, like socially. So my question was, is it justifiable as anarchists to give the state power in some aspects if it takes away authority and power in other aspects, say men over women? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yeah.
are you talking about like social aspects or just like anything?
Any aspects pretty much other than political and state.
I would say it depends on what you're doing, because the entire thing with the free abortion, it's not. I mean, the entire concept of pro-choice things. It's not that we want people to have abortions willy-nilly. It's that they have the choice to have an abortion with no state intervention or anything
And currently, I think the idea of free abortions, seeing that most of them would probably be provided by systems like Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood doesn't even provide like that many abortions. It's like 3% of their fucking budget. It's like nothing.
It is, and most of what Planned Parenthood does is teaching safe sex and
on top of
sex ed.
And not just that, on top of that, most of their funding comes. So the idea that the state would actually be paying for these abortions is fucking absurd.
Patrick,
If we literally stopped using state education to push abstinence and shit like that, we wouldn't have a fucking issue with abortion.
Back to your question, Matt. So you asked like if we were cool with giving the state more power if they reduced their influence or authority in some other area, and
if that decreased the amount of authority men had over women.
If it decreased the amount of authority that men had over women.
Yeah, or that's just one example.
Well, I don't know. I'm inclined to say no because giving the state power just like tends to not be a fucking good thing, and I think there's other ways that you can have that. I don't think you need a state to have more power to have to fix that issue. Like it can be solved. I think it can be solved culturally. It's currently not being done that way. I don't think it can't be done that way. It's just not right now.
My question was kind of a false dichotomy, really.
Okay.
Yeah. Personally, I completely agree with Eric here. In the sense that I feel it's logically inconsistent for most of us as anarchists to support giving the state any more power. It's the exact same reason that I feel voting is logically inconsistent.
Right, and the thing with voting too, if you were to vote, because I've heard Adam Kokesh make this fucking argument before, and it pisses me the fuck off because he wants to run for president in 2020, and so he's trying to get enough people to vote for him to dismantle the federal government. But if you got that many people, say you got 25% of the fucking voting population of America to vote to dismantle the federal government, you'd already have enough people to fucking overthrow it 4 times over. It would just be so easy that you wouldn't even need to vote. It would just happen.
Yeah, I think the thing with voting is that it's already fucking rigged. Voting does not pick the president. It's not direct voting. We pick electors to vote for us.
Yeah, and they have no obligation to vote for who the populace said they wanted them to vote for. They could vote for whoever the fuck they want. Well, I mean, they usually do vote for whoever people tell them to vote for, but that doesn't mean they're required to at all.
Adam, I've got a question for you guys. Just a yes or no question.
I couldn't hear what you said.
I couldn't hear you.
Is there yes or no? Is there a rape culture in the United States?
What do you mean by rape culture?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean,
men perpetuate rape and we think it's
okay. I wouldn't say that. I think there's a lot of misinformation on what people mean by rape culture. I would say that it depends on what you mean. I wouldn't say that men perpetuate the idea that rape is okay. It's just that that a lot of can't say all, but I would say somewhat societal, that men aren't exactly discouraged from it, but they're told not to. They're just like, yeah, don't do this.
I kind of disagree with that. Like,
a definition here. So, in feminist theory, rape culture is a setting in which rape is pervasive, normalized attitudes about
Hold on.
Your mic's
Yeah.
Patrick,
not working.
you need to buy a mic. Yours is shit.
Yeah. Okay. We better.
it's
Yeah.
a little better.
Okay. The rape culture is a setting in which rape is pervasive and normalized due to societal attitudes about gender and sexuality. Does that exist in the United States?
Normalized is an interesting word there, and I don't know if I agree with normalized.
But I would say if different concepts that that when it comes to rape, we're usually seeing that when a woman gets raped, it's disgusting and it's like, oh, what a fucked up dude. But in like media and TV, when a guy gets raped, it's funny and things like that. And I would say that somewhat, I would say it's somewhat, but I would say that could be representative.
I have something else that I want to bring here. What about we watch things like does anyone know off the top of their head what the statistics are of rape cases that A, actually go through the system, B, don't get laughed off before they even have the ability to go into the system, and C, the amount of rape cases that get laughed off before they even get fully fucking told?
Are you
And
talking about men or women
D,
here?
how many rape cases go completely unreported? And no, I'm not saying men or women, I'm saying both.
I have no
How
idea.
many rape cases go unreported? How many rape cases go completely ignored? How many rape cases get laughed off as fake? And how many rape cases go completely unsolved?
We're coming to the end here, by the way.
I have something to say about this. With rape, the reason that a lot of people don't report the rape is either because usually the rapist is someone that the person knows. That it could be a neighbor, a friend, or something like that, and they're afraid of either being called a liar, because that does happen when women report rape and the man denies it, or someone famous or someone well known or someone well liked, they're usually laughed off as a liar. Whether they be lying or not, that depends. But there have been legitimate cases where women have been raped and they weren't believed. And there have been cases where women have lied and the man is put away. It's a complicated issue that does need to be solved, but I don't think that the feminists we need to believe every woman ever, no matter what. It's just that when a woman... No, listen, it's more... The main thing is that it's more humane to believe, because most people don't just normally come out and say, I've been raped, because usually, again, it's someone that the person knows, and they're afraid, and they feel like they have no power.
Okay, I can appreciate that, but then look at it this way. So, when a woman accuses a man of raping her, regardless of whether it's true or false, he instantly has his career, reputation, education, and life overall completely destroyed, regardless of whether it's true or false. That is wrong.
Yes, I would agree that is wrong.
But as a result of patriarchy, is what I assume Adam would say, which I think I'd probably agree with.
How is that patriarchy?
Because again, it's that comes in that the woman is fragile and that it's again that men are supposed to be seen again as big and dominant, but they're also supposed to have this limit, like, yeah, don't rape people. That's fucked up. But there's also, it comes into huge consent thing on what classifies as rape, and I would say both on anti-feminist sides and feminist sides, there is a huge misconception on what consent is. It's just there's more. I don't think implied consent is legitimate consent, unless, say, I don't want to say that, but if someone tells you to stop, they don't like this. Just
stop. That's rape at that point. If you don't
Yes.
stop, that's rape.
Yeah.
Yeah, if someone says no and you continue again, that's rape. But
I think we should get into consent next week. I think that'll
Yeah.
be a good starter, and I think
Yeah,
we
we're
should
running
probably
out of
just cut
time.
it off here. So
I
I think
would-
we've had a good discussion.
I would say that I just want to wrap all my thoughts up.
Go for it.
I would say that patriarchy goes hand in hand with the state, but I would say patriarchy is a social aspect to the state, but the people in power in the state perpetuate it. And I would say people self-proclaimed feminists like Hillary Clinton perpetuates patriarchy. I would legitimately say she perpetuates patriarchal norms. I do not consider her a feminist. I don't even consider her. She's just fucking gross all around. But I would say overall that to be a consistent feminist, I would say that you be either an anarchist feminist, or if you don't want to go to that far, be a socialist feminist. Because feminism also plays in with capitalism, and capitalism has positions of power where men are usually in positions of power over women and other people.
That's not necessarily because of patriarchy. That could be just because we
All right, folks.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll address that next week if you want.
well, we are going to move this discussion on to next week's episode. We are going to further discuss it a little bit. Primarily, consent seems to be the topic that we're going to be discussing. But to all those who watched tonight, like, share, and subscribe. To all those that are watching later, like, share, and subscribe. If the NSA is watching, don't believe anything we say. But to everyone else, thank you for watching and have a great night.